So New Hampshire's got a new bill that's just gonna kick those nasty, dirty squatters right out. Let's check out this story from Vermont on squatters. You're gonna want to see it.
If somebody breaks into your home, you should be able to call police and have them kicked out, right? Well, that's not always the case, and it is a lesson a local landlord is learning the hard way. iTeam reporter Sophie Bates is live with the story right now. Sophie.
Yeah, Diane, this house behind me on Oakland is where people are allegedly squatting. I spoke with the homeowner, 𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗏. He says he owns about 500 properties in the area and has never had anything like this happen before. But now that it has, he's asking lawmakers to make sure it doesn't happen again.
The world has gone crazy.
Landlord and owner of Toledo Transformation, 𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗏, says he finished evicting a tenant from this property on East Oakland Street last week. When he stopped by to check on the house,
the locks have been changed. I looked in the front window and the place was full of people.
He called Toledo police.
They came out and talked to the people inside the house, came out to talk to me and told me that the people inside the house were considered squatters. And I basically had no rights to my property that I own.
I tried talking to the people inside and saw 3 children and an adult woman.
I just wanted to come talk to you and see kind of what the situation is.
She didn't want to talk. Regardless of who's living inside, 𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗏 says he'll now have to go through the eviction process to reclaim his property.
I've got to go through the whole legal process all over again. So it may be another 30, 45 days before I get my house back. It is crazy.
He says he hopes his story will be a warning for other property owners.
This can happen to you. So
and a call to action for lawmakers.
I would implore our city councilmen, pass an ordinance. Let's change this law now in Toledo. I don't know who would be against this law.
So at the end of that last segment, the reporter goes on to say there's a big difference between landlords who have lease situations with their tenants and property owners who come back from a vacation and somebody's just flat out trespassing. It's the whole notion of this is a rental property, it's a known rental property, and there may or may not be a lease associated with that gives the squatters some kinds of rights. But that is where I think the law has just completely gone overboard and protects, in many, many jurisdictions, it protects the rights of tenants and the people who own the property. People that actually, worked hard to put together their down payment, got their credit to the point where they could buy a rental. This guy, 500 rentals, and he's having to deal with the same damn issue. Right? I mean, these squatters have so many rights that they know, all right, I go in there, I change the locks. It's my house. They're going to have to, I'll see them in court. So, a bill in New Hampshire aims to ensure that individuals who are deemed illegal occupants of someone else's property or a squatter can be removed from the home. I've heard so many of you mention Seattle soy boys. Those are weak, blue-haired men who have lost their traditional masculinity. It's undeniable that such weakened masculinity in urban areas, it's had significant impacts. These feminized men are easier to control and less likely to push back, aligning with a societal shift that labels outspoken men as sexist or misogynist. Meanwhile, mainstream media demonizes traditional masculinity, calling it toxic. Research shows a dramatic decline in men's testosterone levels and physical strength over recent decades, influenced by sedentary lifestyle and poor diets. That's why I recommend Black Forest Testosterone with 𝗥𝗏𝗧𝗏 supplement. This plant-based product promotes increased testosterone and muscle mass while reducing stress. I've personally experienced improved recovery times and overall energy levels. Dubbed the feminization killer, this supplement combines 2 potent natural testosterone boosters. It's an effective way to counteract soy boy syndrome. With Black Forest Testosterone, I've seen noticeable improvements in energy, strength, and sleep quality. You too can experience these benefits with an exclusive buy 2, get 1 free offer available on their website. Black Forest Supplements is operated by patriots committed to resisting a system that aims to weaken us. By supporting this sponsor, you can help sustain this channel and reclaim robust health and confidence. Check out the special link below for this promotion. Thank you for your support. But the legislation also plans to distinguish that scenario with situations where a landlord accuses a resident of a home of being a squatter when that individual has a prior history to the property, some kind of leasehold estate, some kind of, they've got rights to it, right? So yeah, it's one of those things where certain areas really drop the hammer. Other areas are like, just going to have to work it out in the court system. And it's this whole notion that somebody else can take your home after you've been on vacation and you come back and there's nothing you can do about that. And there's things you can do about that, but they won't necessarily be legal, right? That's what people are being forced to do. They're being forced to protect what is theirs from governments that just say, they're squatters' rights. No. Take them out, throw their crap out on the street, and let them sort it out in the court system. I say we do that. Lawmakers in the New Hampshire House of Representatives on Thursday will vote on House Bill 1400 after legislators from the state Senate met with colleagues from the House and moved forward the bill that will clear who constitutes a squatter and who does not. I'd like to see that. How do they distinguish between those two? Because oftentimes, and what you hear is the police are unable to do anything because they don't know who signed the lease. They don't know what the real lease looks like. They come from some call where it's crazy stuff going on. And they roll up to the house and they're like, okay, you're showing me this lease. In the instance, you're showing me this receipt from DoorDash that you've lived here for a while. Okay. Yeah. It doesn't exactly give you a lease position for which you to stand on and say, hey, I'm the legal occupant of this residence. Doesn't do that. And so often these are straight squatters who deserve to be taken by the scruff of their neck and thrown out to the curb along with the rest of their crap. Get them out, move them on. That's what we need to see happen more of, because, there's very rarely a squatter who really puts up a fight that knows that they're not supposed to be there. Right. They hide behind these NGOs. They hide behind these entities that are funded by your taxpayers' dollars that bring, delinquent tenants, squatters, thousands of dollars of rent money they give to the court system. And then the whole process of eviction of these dirty squatters to get out starts over. We've seen that time and time and time again. And who does that really helping? You're just helping enable the squatters continue to live in the home that they're illegally occupying. It was really important that if someone is truly criminally trespassing, someone goes on vacation, somebody breaks into their house, they come home from vacation and there's someone squatting in their home, that person is criminally trespassing and they should be removed by law enforcement immediately. 100% agreed. 100% agreed. The dirty squatters, they got to go. They got to go. They're a blight on humanity, right? They're doing their shenanigans and they shouldn't be allowed to. And yet legislature in so many states has become so weak on protecting the landlord. They just want to protect the tenant because, But she added that lawmakers wanted to also draw a line between that situation with what she described as a gray area. The gray area being you've got a squatter that has overstayed their lease. And that's where you get into real troubles. And that's where the police are like, hey, this is a civil matter. We don't know what the right answer is here. You're going to have to let somebody who's got more authority and more ability to do a deep dive on this lease and have different parties, the landlord party bring their lease and have the squatter, tenant, whatever, bring their lease and let the judge decide, right? I mean, that's what it comes down to a lot of times on these situations. And that's where the squatter can really work the system. And if they can get an NGO, or if they can get a free attorney involved, they'll muck this up with shenanigans 10 ways from Sunday all day long. And in the meantime, they get to just stay in the home, stay in the home, stay in the home. That's their goal. And they're serial squatters. We talk a lot about the movie Pacific Heights. See that movie. It's epic. Melanie Griffith and Michael Keaton and the kid from the Wrestler movie. Yeah, who's no longer a kid. Like, he's probably my age. So which is when someone has been a tenant. This is the gray area. When someone has been a tenant, they have an oral or a text message chain that can be construed as a lease, as an agreement. Let the judge work it out, is what the police are saying. And you know what? The police have liability. If they just throw somebody out, yeah, hey, I had a lease. Oh, sorry about that. That doesn't look good either, right? So figuring out where that line is, delineating that line, and then making the laws based on that. Yeah, I'm down with that. That eviction process should go through the courts and that there should be a 48-hour emergency hearing. Yeah, I think there should be a 48-hour emergency hearing, get in front of a judge, because that would sort out so much of this stuff. Hey, you haven't paid rent. What's up with that? Well, I was going to do that. You just hear a bunch of excuses, right? Talk to my attorney. Why? I'm talking to you. You can't explain why you're here living illegally. You're squatting in somebody else's house. You're working the system. You're working the law. Yeah. The issue of squatting has gained national headlines, and some legislators across the country are introducing legislation to combat it. That's what we're talking about. But experts have pointed out that incidents of individuals taking over other people's properties with little or no evidence of legal rights over those homes are rare. Yeah, but they're common enough where I'm reporting on them fairly often, right? I'm reporting on them all over the United States. So even if they are rare, is that consolation? If your home gets squatted in, are you okay with, oh yeah, they're rare. Yeah, I mean, you're going to need to repaint and, resurface your entire house when the drugged out squatters are done occupying, when they've had all their friends over for big, huge parties and they've just destroyed your home. It's rare. So don't worry about it. Are you going to take that lying down? I hope not. I hope for your sake. They have suggested that some landlords are using the issue of squatting to attempt to deny some residents their legal rights. That's why I say 48-hour notice, 48-hour court hearing, emergency court hearing. And even if the landlord had to pay for that, yeah, you got to pay $100 for whatever. I think landlords would just jump on that. All right, let's get it up here. Don't waste anybody's time. Give me the facts. Let me see the lease. All right. Do you have an extension of your lease? Oh, you don't? You're still occupying the home? When's the last time you made rent payment? You haven't in 14 months, and you're still in the home? Okay. Yeah. You're going to need, I'm going to give you 24 hours to get you and your stuff out. Don't care where you go. Out. Yeah. Because you are an illegal squatter at this point. But Your Honor. Yeah. They know it. They know they're living on borrowed time. This is their MO. They're never going to own the home, right? Never going to own the home. And so why not get as many nights covered as you possibly can? McWilliams told Newsweek that the bill in New Hampshire that will be under consideration aims to make clear what side of the issues authorities can look at. It's basically clarifying, all right, is this a squatter situation or is this a landlord-tenant situation? And then based on that, cops just, boom, kick out the dirty squatters. Get them out. Get them out. We're out of here. You guys are out of here. Those are the stories that we're hearing about more and more often. And a lot of this came out of the pandemic, didn't it? Oh, don't kick the dirty squatters out. They might spread the Rona. They might spread the Rona. And notice, I am making a big distinction between legal tenants and dirty squatters. Because these squatters, they are nasty individuals. They do this for a living. This is how they keep a roof over their head when they can. I mean, I did a story last week on somebody getting kicked out, and then just right down the road, the investigative reporter is like, hey, that's another eviction notice. Wonder what's going on there. And the person that they did the original story on, the dirty squatter, they'd been squatting in another house and they got kicked out, and they saw the same luggage, same bags. It was the same woman. These are serial squatters who are working the system. And you need to have your legislatures on board. Here in Washington State, they're not on board. They're just kind of letting things happen because we're a Democrat. We're a liberal Democrat runs state and city and cities. You have to go east of the mountains before you hit anything that has an R in front of it. You know what I mean? Whether that's red or Republican. Here in Western Washington, it is just a bloodbath. So you've got all these politicians who are like, the rights of the tenants. And I'm just thinking, throw them out, just throw them out, throw them out, let them work it out, throw it out. And if they really have a reason to be in there, they'll let the judge know, right? That's the way I think it should kind of correct itself. That'll never happen. Instead, you've got these squatters that, squat for a year, 2 years, sometimes longer without paying any rent at all because they've literally got these governmental organizations, NGOs, non-governmental organizations that help them out with your own taxpayers' dollars. So some of that comes right back to the taxpayers. You hired with your vote these politicians that are making these choices, and then you are funding these NGOs with your tax dollars that are keeping these squatters in business. So at some point in time, you can always point the finger, but at some point in time, you got to look back and go, oh, yeah, I see that some of the decisions we made were probably not the greatest of decisions. So you need to have people who are willing to fight for landlord rights. And we're just not seeing a lot of that right now. We're just not. The pendulum has swung the other way too hard. And I think a lot of this came out during the pandemic, which was, there was that notion of, let's defund rent. Let's not have any rent. Let's let everybody just not pay their rent. And, they're not thinking through what the landlord still got to make their mortgage payment. What about defund mortgage payments? Oh, no. We're not doing that. You still got to make your mortgage payment. I mean, come on. We're not 100% into your charity. Oh, you know what I mean? It's just like, I'm sorry, what? Because when I saw those stories come out, hey, you don't have to pay rent. Why? So how does that jive with landlords having to pay taxes, mortgage payments, any kind of repair on the building, anything to do with move in, move out, utilities? I mean, you name it. Landlords are on the hook for it. And these stinky squatters just come in and take complete advantage. And everybody's like, you don't want to move them out because if you do, they might get the Rona out on the sidewalk. And then we find out, the Rona doesn't do real well outside. So, being inside is probably the worst place you could be. Let's confine people up. Just have them all sit inside and breathe on each other. This will work out great. So, well, at least in New Hampshire, they're looking at creating something that gives the authorities the right to do an emergency kick out, as should be the case. It should have never gone this far. It should have never happened the way that this has happened. But this is America in 2024, isn't it? Yeah, good stuff. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. I'll catch up with you in the next segment. Bye for now.